For 3 months. Yeah. And then get the right. And then go on vacation to Rome. Right, and it's like, yeah, an example he gives is like, there's a woman and there's a grandmother who like became very nice, and like everybody was just like open, like, and then they treatments and stuff, and then she's like in really rough shape, and she's like, I just want to like take my grandkids, and then he's like, if we had that conversation, we could have done it like 3 months ago. We can't now. But it's just like, if we just slow down and it's like, what is a good life? Yeah. It's such a right. Just a little. Technically, it's right.
I also have to be careful that I put blood sugar.
I know.
So I gotta be sure.
Good. Yeah. So, well, like CCC, their practices.
Yeah, you got a ton.
They really love in that. I think Murphy made it to the. Yeah, it's great. It's super close to there. It's like you can walk there, but it's stretched. It's closer to downtown. Like we can walk. Like we'll go eat dinner.
So I gotta come back to dinner.
It's like a team.
So I went to Bistro downtown and picked up a girlfriend there, and like all their
Oh, it's really good.
doll houses.
Yeah. It's right across from from Griffin Hill. You walk across one. No, from her office. Yeah. I do a couple of things of practice with her.
Are you looking to build your Facebook right now?
I'm still taking it, people looking, because I'm doing, we're going to do a VAT, and I'm doing it's really convenient. And they do, it's kind of it's like a tech company.
Oh, it's just the company's own. It's not like an outside.
And they do like a company for their employees contracts with them and part of their benefits package, and they get a certain 6 sessions. Oh, yeah. And I just like have my little block available, and it's just pop up in there. For somebody who's like doing so it's most of the telehealth, but it's in person too. It's like they're normally 80% for telehealth, 110 for in person, which for them to handle everything, all the logistics. A lot of it. So many people now are people who are working remotely as of COVID. Like since COVID. Yeah, and they're feeling motivated, they feel like disconnected.
They're not like, but they're not like.
Oh, no. Like an anger management.
No,
at least they're not telling me that, if that's okay.
So like Tom's boss would call me like assistants, punching people at work, like, and then we'd have to get Tom like special,
Yeah.
when Mary Swan's the desk or whatever.
That's interesting. No, yeah, so I haven't had as much as that, but I can see that coming on.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I mean, today I like still kind of touch it up with like calls with my possible and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. What you doing on that? Yeah.
I didn't know that exactly. He's like, really happy in 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you don't have, and that's like, the thanks to, going online, it's like, not having, people with kids, and, and it's just, I don't have anywhere to go. Like, it's not like I really have, you really have to get up and plan something, like, connect.
It's like a challenge to like get out.
That's what, like, I like to do, like, how often just for Wednesdays, and then like when we have meetings, and then just you kind of bebop around and see everybody. And
That's the thing that I love socializing. Without like dropping it. I'm like, I need to get out enough.
Let's go to a park and be hot dogs.
I
feel like it's COVID, especially. I think a lot of people were trying to like they need to support us for a while.
Before COVID, I feel like we didn't go out to eat until we went for like 2 weeks.
Right.
I'll hang out once a month. Like, I can't get out for 3 weeks. I can't get out to Chick-fil-A for an example.
Really? Yeah, it's crazy. I bet, because we kind of like going back to, we've been kind of like budgeting, but we've kind of, in our early days, we went, like kidney, like really early on, when we met, we had an undergrad, we had signed up for the same study abroad, and so we ended up in Europe for like 3 months together, like 8 or 9 months together, and so and we split everything. And then we just kind of did that for several years. After we got married and stuff. Yeah, we just would split everything.
I'm like, do you want it? He's like, I need 200 pounds. I'm like, do you want to split it? Because I'm going in. I'm not splitting anything. And you won't do it.
I'll leave a PB&J before I leave the house sometimes. Before we go to dinner. And then I'm just like, no, it's nothing fries. Yeah, I'll split it. But if I knew the phone, it would save $20.
No. And I'm like, you
Yeah, I understand. You have to go in, and that's why like, I need to go in with a mindset of like, I'm not hungry, we're gonna,
So that's what makes sense. And I'm like,
right. No, we're not. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, well, this is good. Getting me and Sarah got over this spread for us. Yeah, and I probably don't need more, but I'm thinking.
Put it in your pocket for later. When you go to dinner. There. How are you guys?
I told him that two of these, so I thought we really need to make it two. It's just the first one.
Just shaking our way right over.
To justify that.
Okay, guys, ready? I'm gonna start us off. We're gonna feel like, you guys ready for it? I just went out in the hall because I was like, oh, I need to stretch a little bit. My back hurts. I was like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna do it together. So you'll stand up. I'm gonna start you with Hot and Gom. So this is how I start every single one of my groups. And Hot and Gom is just basic. If you're not familiar, it's very similar to Tai Chi. It's just mindfulness movement. And I'm like, we're doing mindfulness. We're gonna not do this with you guys. So let's start there, okay? We're going to start with feet shoulder width apart. This is called a pulling bend, just in case you want to know. Soft bend in our knees, palms up. This is called a willing hand. So saying to your body, I'm steady if I'm okay. And take a deep breath in, coming up, our arms. With a deep breath in, interlocking at the top, big stretch to the ceiling, elongating spine, up on toes, and an out breath as we're coming down. Good. And we're going side to side, so leaning to the right. Continuing to breathe through. And center. Continuing to breathe. And left. And center. And coming down into forward fold, keeping that soft bend in your knees. If you have a chair next in front of you, you can turn sideways. So just soft bend. Relaxing head and neck, arms hang loose like a rag doll. And then coming up slowly, one breath at a time. Holding in the waist, up in the chest, leaning back, looking at the ceiling, and big out breath at the top. Thank you guys for being willing. So, like I said, I was like, oh, my back, I feel. I do this every day with my clients. It was a great reminder for me. Why not teach you? I do this because it works for me. I have clients who were into DBT far before I was into DBT in my aftercare group. And I have a man for 9 years. He has started every morning with Follow Along as a mindfulness practice for him. So just simple movements, right? That really connect mind and body. I'll tell you guys, this is funny. I had a clinician say to me that I was dead neck down. And I was like, excuse me? But I had to sit with that and said, what is that? And she elaborated, somebody got really interested. And she was like, girl, you worked in trauma a long time. You worked in residential for a long time. And you're very disconnected from your body. You don't even know you have a body. I was like, so we need to implement some mindfulness practice of movement. I was like, oh, okay, I see the dead neck down a little bit better now. My goodness. But it was a wake up for me, right? And so something to segue into this mindfulness, something that for me, like I said, ADHD to the max. And I have to work hard at a mindfulness practice. And I want you guys to remember as we go through kind of learning more about this module is I'm going to teach you about the foundations. But mindfulness is all about finding what works for you and what works for your client and helping them explore that because it is the least painful of the tools, right? So the other ones, you're going to say you get all the tools in your toolbox and you're like, you know what to do, right? Mindfulness is more obscure. And so people struggle and they think mindfulness only means one thing, and that's sitting and taking right? Meditation. Everybody thinks sitting meditation is mindfulness. And what you will see is that is not true. And I was one of those people. I will talk about it more. So, mindfulness. Anybody willing to say that's what they think it is? Mindfulness is just chilling like this, trying to be still. Anybody think it's having a clear mind? Because I love that. I love that because I'm like, my mind's supposed to be empty, right? Like completely empty. Well, I don't know about you, but my mind is never empty. I think my husband's isn't. But it's so much more, okay? Okay, so as we dig in, I just want you to think about, number one, how can I apply it to me? Because to be a great clinician, I gotta be using the skills. And how can I help my client find what works for them? Okay? So what is it? It's not this, it's not empty brain, okay, cool. But it's paying attention on purpose to what is happening right now. Ooh, I said I would announce this in real. I will give you guys these slides, don't worry. You don't have to write it all down, and you guys will, Anthony will send them to you. I'll send them to you in video, okay? Oh, and this is recorded. Because Kelly picked it up. I didn't know that, so we need the recording. So back to mindfulness. Paying attention on purpose right now, in this moment. That is mindfulness. So simple, right? The big thing here that I see people struggle with more than anything with mindfulness is it's about what's going on inside and outside. I always say you're either probably good at knowing what's going on outside or inside, but not both, right? So find for you what is difficult and hone in on that piece. Is like, oh, Mandy's really good at observing outside, but she forgot she had her body. So, but what's going on inside? Right? That is mindfulness. Very basic. Sounds really easy, right? This takes a lot of work. Okay? Why? Why do we want to do this thing called mindfulness? Because I know for me, I was like, I don't want to be still. I don't like that. I can't have a clear mind. I don't want to sit. I don't want to do yoga. I don't want to do stretching. Like, no. Go full. Right? Especially when it came to this. And you're going to get that from clients, I promise. They don't like it. They don't like the idea of this. So why? Because it increases awareness of what's going on in the present moment. Anybody feel like they miss their own life sometimes? Yeah, your clients do. Not even soaking up the good moments because they're thinking about whatever's about to happen that's going to be terrible. They've already decided it's going to be terrible, so they're missing like this goodness right here, right now. I always say to my clients, especially when we're doing palm, I say, open your palms, willing hands, right? You are safe right here, right now. In this moment, you are okay. And that's the power of mindfulness, is even when everything else is out of control and feels terrible, right here, in this moment, right now, if you can observe it, you're okay. There's no tiger in the room. That's what one of my clients always says. There's really no tiger in the room. I'm like, you're right. And when we can use mindfulness to observe that, power, okay? It allows for learning and deciding what to do about it rather than becoming overwhelmed by it. Stressors, triggers. Let me observe it outside of me rather than just taking it on and it becoming me, okay? Mindfulness this is like my favorite one. There's a reason I call it. Mindfulness is the magic ingredient that helps you take a step back from intense feelings and overwhelming emotions. Anybody like to take a step back but struggle to do that? I told you, I have a 6-year-old. She is wild. She's awesome. She's creative. She's emotional. And it's a lot. She's intense, right? If I can be mindful and be present and take a step back rather than react, we're doing good, right? It's not easy. It's intention. It's practice. When you can control attention through mindfulness, a whole world of choice opens up. No longer having to act and react out of habit, fear, or rapidly changing emotions. Sounds refreshing. And I know for clients, often they say, but that's not possible. I can't do that. It's been a whole life of this. Young adults, they're like, well, that's what my mom did. That's what my dad, I observed. This is what I saw growing up. I can't do it differently. One tool can change everything, right? And it starts with a daily practice like, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do pop and pop, because that works for me. Or, you know what, every day when I get home, I'm gonna go on a walk, even if it's far in my room, because that's what works for me. I'm gonna do mindfulness walk and I'm gonna watch my steps, right? Or I am gonna sit and meditate, or I'm gonna do a body scan. When I realized there were body scan meditations, y'all, I was like, oh, I can do this. But if I observe my breath, I'm gonna just tell you, I become anxious. Something's wrong. Like my breath is weird. I don't know what's happening. I can't be doing this right. So following my breath, it's not for me. Are you like, yeah, me too? Yeah, I will be in my head about my breath. And then I'm like, I don't even know how I landed here, right? But if I can connect to my body, which is funny. Now, magic. I'm like, ooh, euphoria. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? It takes practice. Doesn't happen the first time. I did, listen, I'll tell you the truth. How I figured out I like body scans is because I had an 8-year-old that I worked with. And he wasn't eligible for IOP services because of his age. There's no DBT IOP group for 8-year-olds in this area. And then his parents were like, cool, can you see him 3 times a week? I was like, oh, okay, sure. He's a fantastic kid. Adopted, so dysregulated all the time. So every single day of those 3 days, I saw him for like a year and a half. We started with the exact same body scan meditation on YouTube. Don't judge me. YouTube, okay? I'm YouTube certified. But for real, it was so powerful because what I would tell you is I lay on the floor, you can lay over here, I lay right here. We did our little body scan. It was 7 minutes long. You know what happened to me is I became able to do a body scan because I did the same one that was for little kids every single day for like ever, right? 3 days a week. It made me healthy, right? So starting with something that's so tiny, and I hate to even just say meditation because I want you guys to hear me say what I do now is very different. I don't paint. I have no artistic bone in my body. I was an athlete through and through. I didn't know anything else. It's like soccer. Oh, I'm good at basketball too. Oh, in this sport, in that. That's what I did. But I have this creative side of me that I never explored. And so what I found is watercolor painting is the most forgiving thing in the world. So mindfulness practice, that is what it is for me now. So now you can just say meditation, okay? Most important piece of DBT right here. It's on the screen, on the board. It's on the board. The screen. 3 states of mind is foundational to everything about DBT. If you hang out with me or any other DBT clinicians, you'll be so annoyed by how often we say the words wise mind. As my office manager says wise man, and I'm like, no, it's not wise man, it's wise mind. Okay? So wise mind is the ultimate goal, is to be living in a state of wise mind. All right? So in practice, I use this in so many different ways. So much so that everyone ever comes through my group or I work with individually, especially young adults, has like copies of this that are blank that I made back in the day that are terrible, just to be honest. I was like, wow, I really struggled with that. But literally, this Venn diagram, empty, and it says emotion mind, reasonable mind, wise mind. That's it. Why do they have this? Well, we're going to talk about it. Because they have tons of copies. I'm like, here's your 30 pack, right? So, every client walks through the door, I want you guys to start thinking about every single one. You can probably identify if their primary state of mind that they live in is emotion mind or reasonable mind, or you might get the jackpot and get a wise mind client, right? Most that I see are this guy right here, emotion mind. That's why they're coming to me. They're like, this is not working anymore. And I want you guys to hear me say, because I always get the emotional minders come in and they're like, I just want to be more rational. And I'm like, let's talk about that. Like, neither one of these are perfect on their own, okay? But also, they're not wrong or bad, or we don't need to judge them, okay? So, emotional mind, what do you guys think about? Don't look. You guys been on board for 5 minutes. But what do you think when I say the words, hey, he was in emotional mind? What comes up?
Impulse.
Oh, yes. Impulsivity to the max in emotional mind. What else?
Drama queen.
Drama queen. Yes. Drama, right? Yes.
Behaviors. I find other focus, everybody else is causing.
Oh, yeah, like everybody's doing me wrong or doing, yeah. What else did you say? Behaviors. Yes, 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 yes. What else? Anybody can think about like empath? I feel everybody's stuff, everything. I walk in a room and now I've got the weight of the world on me. Is that so bad? Right? Impulsivity, what about fun? Emotional mind can be kind of fun, right? Passionate, love it. What else? Yes. We're like on the edge all the time. Like, am I going to explode or not? Yes. The one that really comes up for me is that ruled by mood, and I see this every day, is I just woke up and I was in a bad mood, so it's going to be a bad day, and I'm going to stay in it, I'm going to really sit in it, I'm going to wallow in it, and I'm going to spiral in it. And I'm like, ooh, okay, that sounds nice, right? But we're all guilty of that in some ways, right? So that mood dependent, like whatever my mood is what my behavior is going to be, is who's going to show up, and it's going to be pretty. Right? Mood dependency is huge here. Really dismissive of logic. That's a big one. Them. I'm trying to come at them with logic. They're not here for it. Okay. Other thoughts about emotional mind. So how do you guys, did anybody have a client like popping their head and they're like, oh my gosh, that guy or that girl? Anybody? Yeah. Yes, of course. Right? How's that going? If they're living in emotional mind? What's it like? What does their life look like? Pure chaos. That's what comes up for me. It's like pure chaos. And a lot of times I will tell you, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of sounds crazy. I had somebody, like, when I was really getting into working with the BPD population, say to me, make sure you're really careful about how you schedule your BPD clients. And I was like, okay. Obviously, there's energy that comes with that. But what I found, and this is, again, hear me out. My BPD clients at the end of the day were really good when I was tired. Why? It's like a dang show. I'm like, ooh, here's the party, right? Now, I have to work hard, but it also was like, there's some entertainment factor, which sounds bad, but truly, I don't like to just view this emotion mind as this negative, bad thing. There's like a lot of fun to it, too, and that's why people stay in it. It has served them until it doesn't, right? And they come to treatment, they're like, my life is pure chaos, and it's a mess, right? So then we swing to the opposite, okay? We go to reasonable mind, irrational mind. You'll hear those terms used interchangeably in DBT and even in DBT manuals. Both are used. Reasonable mind, what do you guys think? Anybody know a reasonable minder? Oh, I have a client. Anybody say that again? I have a client. Yes. Yes. Whew. Yes, interesting, right? What do you think? Yeah.
I think the neurodiverse.
So, yes, our neurodiverse clients, most of the time, they're right in here. And then they don't know what to do when that emotional mind shows up. They're like, oh, right? What else? What comes up? Rigid. Oh my gosh. I was like, rigid. Yes. What else?
I think it's Spock.
Yes. So I love it. It's like your image of reasonable mind. Uh-huh. What else?
Love walls.
Yes. Like, you're not getting in. Nobody's getting in. I'm not even in. Right?
Very argumentative.
Argumentative, yeah. Like, they're completely ruled by logic. So everything is like fact. There's no deviation from fact. I also think of black and white here, like very black and white thinkers, which is always interesting with DBT because we talk about black and gray. So we had a little bit hippy-dippy there. But gray is beautiful, right? And then they're like, do what? Everything is black and white. My husband will say to me, it's just black and white. I'm like, is it though? But is it? Okay. Black and white, very dismissive of emotion, of feelings. Anybody ever been told, like, I just don't know why you're so anxious. Like, really, there's nothing to be anxious about. Like, what do you have to be anxious about? Is there anything reasonable about anxiety? No, right? But that's that person. I think about this, emotion mind is very hot, like reactive, and this is very cool, like I'm engaging in nothing.
I can see why emotional mind people get into these groups and things. Why would reasonable minds? Like, I mean, it sounds like, I've got an answer, but it doesn't work. I just try something else, or I'm interested in understanding.
Why people fall into reasonable minds?
Or how they think that they would benefit from therapy. Or like,
Yeah, because I think people, and they show up a lot in therapy, I will say that. But I think, and I'll tell it myself, I was very much became a reasonable minder after working in residential, and I was working with human trafficking population. I know you know all about this from supervision. I had to turn it off. I could not survive. And then what happened is I came home, right? I came home after 70 hours a week. And then I'd be like, empty, nothing. And my family was like, my husband legit said to me one day, do you even have emotion? And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. But that's like moments in my life, y'all. That's why they show up, right? And it's not because somebody, turned it off and then they're like, oh, but it's because it stops working, right? What served me and needed to survive at one point, because I didn't know there was another way, stopped working, it started affecting other areas of my life, and then you finally are like, okay, like, I have to do something about it, and that's what I see. I see a lot of, I had a professional for a while out of our variable location, and I had my very first professional group, I had 2 nurses, a heart surgeon, attorney, and a teacher. Lord mercy. It was fun. But it stopped working, right? And that what really happens, like for example, my heart surgeon, he's like, right? He's running out of panic attacks. And he's like, I need to go to an emergency room. I'm having a heart attack. Well, he has literally no awareness of emotion, so he's like, I don't know what to do with this, right? And it comes in, are you gonna fix me? I'm having panic attacks. And I'm like, okay, right? I was told by the doctor I'm having panic attacks and I'm a heart surgeon, I gotta get back to my work. Okay, right? So something outside of their control typically brings them in. That's a great question. Yeah.
How are negotiable, not money, one of my kids told me yesterday, it's not a newspaper. He can let me know what it is, what he's thinking. So I said, what's your page on emotions? He said, I don't have that, I don't have that. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know where he lives, huh?
Exam for me, I think, like, exam, there's a lack, that overlap with a lack of emotional effectiveness.
100%.
Because if you are in a relationship with,
Yep.
or friends with, or a child of someone who's like, what do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
that for me is a distancing.
1,000,000%. And which you heard in my example, that's why I was like, oh, maybe he needs to do something. Right? My relationships were sacrificing, or being sacrificed. Right? Relationships, how we operate with people, because another thing here is this can be very self-centered. But so can this. Right? Both of those. Okay. So, how do you think that love looks for somebody who lives in reasonable life? Lonely. Relationships are a hot mess because you can't connect, because you have no emotion. I want you to know when I'm in group, when I'm teaching these, my 2 videos, and I'm not like a huge video person, but I love this. So for emotional mind, anybody seen Encanto? Yeah, whichever way you call it. Peppa, anybody familiar with that character? Everything is dictated by emotion, right? So she's my emotional line, so that's what I keep in my head is like, oh, this is a Peppa, right? And then, reasonable line, has anybody watched Sheldon's algorithm for making friends video? Please do yourself a favor, it's the best thing in the world. Literally makes an science, like, algorithm, math, whatever, I don't even know. That is how he's gonna make friends, and it is hilarious, right? Yes.
The fun ones are the ones that jump from reasonable to emotional.
Oh, yeah, you know, like,
Never laid in the lives.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and we did those often, right? So think Sheldon, think Peppa, and then let's talk about wise mind. So, my example here is, I had a friend who I worked with forever. She's at our Chattanooga office in Mopac. She used to carry this big Yoda, like stuffy around. She's like, this is my wise mind. And we like sit in the chair and it's all weird and so Yoda, think wise mind, okay? So biggest thing here is wise mind is not separate from these 2. Wise mind is the synthesis of these 2. It's bringing together. What comes to your mind about wise mind? Tell me thoughts. Balance. That's what I was talking about earlier. Never achieved it, but I'm working for it. Balance. What else? Content. Yeah, love it.
Very intentional.
Yes.
Flexible.
Flexible.
I see a lot of confidence from my clients.
Confident. Because there's no guilt, shame there. Yeah. Intuitive is what I want to add. This is like, I always say to people, I'm like, this is like your higher mind. Higher than what you think you got going, right? Higher. It's that synthesis of the 2, bringing them together. Yoda, wisdom. Yoda's wise words, have you ever watched that video? So, like, he's just so wise, right? Something Yoda. So here's my other last little takeaway on these. Emotional mind. Anybody heard, just make this decision with your heart? What's the other one? Gut. What's the other one? Head. Okay, so which goes where? Emotional mind, what is it? Heart. What about reasonable mind? Head. And that leaves what? Yes, and I was telling my wise mind is the gut feeling, not the anxious belly. Okay? It's the gut. It's like the I know, I just know. That's why it's not showing up. Right? So I get through this with my friends and they're like, okay, cool, that's great, like, but how do I do that? So then we talk about that. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna take you guys next. Questions about this? Oh, I told you guys about the sheets. I gave them like 30. Here's the best practice ever to have with your clients. Give them 30 blank ones. When they tell you they've got a decision and they're a crazy, wild decision maker, tell them they can't make any decision until they fill this out. Had this middle school kid that was in my middle school IOD, and every single week she was moving from mom's house to dad's house. I'm never going back to dad's. He's terrible. He didn't let me go out, and I wanted to. I'm like, cool. So we stopped that real quick because I said, okay, cool, you can live wherever you want, and clearly your parents are going to let you live wherever you want. So you can't move though until you fill out one of these sheets every time. And tell me about it, and then we'll make a decision together. What do you think happens? She moved one time, and it was done. Because she realized this was not a wise mind decision. This was an emotional mind decision every time. So when she could tell me it was a wise mind decision, I'm like, cool, move, go for it. Everybody's letting you do it. That works. But it stopped, right? This is a great, great practice for your clients.
What kind of things are they writing in these boxes?
So, like emotional mind, what would emotional mind say? So in this example with this client, it's like, emotional mind would say, you're really pissed at dad. And dad won't let me go to the dance. And then reasonable mind would be like, well, that's the rule, right? And then wise mind would say, is that a valid reason to run from dad's house? Are things actually good here? And I'm going to mom's because I'm pissed at dad kind of deal. So really working through what the thought of is a practice of saying, what would my wise mind say? What would my emotional mind say? And what would my reasonable mind? Because they're always all there. That's what I want to be clear about. These states of mind are always present. It's just which ones we listen to and pay attention. Yeah. So it's a great practice because it takes something that seems kind of like obscure, makes it tangible, and then what happens? They don't have to fill out the sheet. They've already thought of it. And like I said, hanging out with the DBT therapist, I'd be like, what's my mind saying? Or I'd be like, oh, sorry, that was emotional mind. Let me back that up. Right? We do it. It's in our language every day. Right? So is that helpful? The other thing you can do with a blank one is say, what does your wise mind look like? What is your emotional, how would I know you were in my emotional mind? What would that look like? Oh, you cry when you're in emotional mind. Okay, tears or whatever. You start smoking cigarettes suddenly. You call up an old boyfriend. You shut down. You stop working out. What's reasonable mind? You're a reasonable mind. And it takes effort. Again, this is hard for them, but it's so powerful. So powerful.
What else would be interesting if every week they come in and they just have a bunch of different things that happen? Like, tell me something that your emotional mind caused you to do this week, and then you can help them.
100%. The learning to identify what's emotional mind, what's reasonable mind, what's wise mind, game changer. Because then it doesn't have to be I have to think about this. It just happens naturally. Any other thoughts about this? So obviously different ways you can use it. Yeah.
I just got a question. I don't know if this makes sense. I just want to know. The emotional mind, is that similar to like thinking about emotional intelligence, and the reasonable mind is much like executive functioning, using that loosely? And then our wise mind is kind of like our personality, because learning it in neuropsychology, it's very similar, because you learn the emotional intelligence in that entails the emotional mind as well, how we perceive the world with everything, as well as the reasonable mind, that is actually very functioning, and you understand it with your wise mind, personality, whatever it's like.
Yeah, I think I definitely can see like those similarities. I think the one big difference I would hear is just like emotion mind is almost opposite of emotional intelligence. The emotion is there, but no management of it. And I think of emotional intelligence being like very in tune, able to manage, in charge of, and emotional mind is opposite, but definitely on similar track. Yeah.
You have to learn it. Like
Yes, like all the goodness of emotion, and that's the thing, again, emotional mind is not bad. It just has to be married with that rational mind, or reasonable mind. Make sense? Yeah, good question. Okay. How do we get that wise mind? My heart was like, how do I do it? Like, you told me how cool it is, but what do I do? So these are our what and how skills of mindfulness. So what do we do to be mindful? What do we do to achieve wise mind? And then how do we do it? So what and how skills, they're foundational in C-DBT. So observe, we observe. Simply observe, no language, just taking everything in outside of us and inside of us. Observation, wordless watching, pure observation, okay? So, for example, because we know mindfulness practices lead to wise mind, how can I observe when I'm painting? When Mandy's doing her practice of mindfulness, what can I be observing when I'm doing my watercolors? Right, so I can observe like the different pigments. I'm not going to name them yet. I can observe the water, my supplies, what I'm feeling in my body by sitting down to a practice. Okay? Describe, this is where words come in. How can I describe without interpreting? So this is adding words but not interpretation. So, for example, paint supplies. Look at, okay, the green brush. The brush is soft. Not, I hate art, this is not good, I'm gonna screw up, right? That is not described. Okay, so how do we put words to just the facts of an experience? Participate. Full in. So think when you hear, think of participate, think like everybody's watching all the way in. I'm not like doing a little texting while I'm painting and I'm like, do I really want to do this? No, I'm full in. I'm in the zone. I'm locked in. 100%. I'm committed. Fully. Okay? So that's the what skills. So what do we do to be mindful? Think about it that way. Do these three things. Okay? Then we hop over here. We say, how do I be mindful? Okay? Non-judgmental. Hardest one for clients. Hardest one for myself. Right? We are wired to be judgmental. We just are. So it is a fight to not judge what we're doing, what everybody else is doing, how our painting looking. So instead of having an outcome for my painting, I'm simply like spreading color, or I'm simply observing the water. When guaranteed a judgment will come up in a mindfulness practice every time, I'm like, oh, I just got that color where I wanted to go. Oh, I'm so mad, this isn't gonna turn out, so what do? And I was like, oh, that's a judgment, I'll let that guy go. Because what happens often is when we're in this practice of practicing non-judgmentalness, or non-judgmental. We want to judge ourselves for judging. So we have to say, whoa, now I'm judging myself for judging. Hold on, let me come back to the water. Let me come back to the color. Let me go back to this observe, describe, okay? Because you'll notice the judgment. Your clients will notice the judgment. And we say, okay, just leave it there. I always say, let it go on a balloon, or like go down the river, whatever imagery might work for you, or just even saying stop. It's a DBT skill, stop. And then back to what can I see, what can I observe, and we'll get back on track. Okay? You do it over and over and over and over and over, non-judgmental, stop, come back to the thing. One mindful, one thing at a time. Only one thing. My ADHD brain does not always love one thing at a time. It is a great practice for me. So if I'm painting, I am painting. I'm not texting, I'm not watching TV. It's different if I want to have like some background music, but when I am intentional about one mindfulness to achieve a state of wise mind, I'm on one thing, only one. So you can eat like a piece of candy one mindfully, only, right? You can write one mindfully. You can listen to music one mindfully. It's just that practice of only one thing. This does not mean we can only do one thing at a time for the rest of our lives. But when we are in this practice of a mindfulness practice in hopes to achieve this state of wise mind and this thing we can access called wise mind, we want to really focus on the one mindful. Okay. Effectively, this is my favorite. You get lines all the time. That is a word for me. Okay, cool, put it on a shelf, don't do it. And they're like, they won't argue about it. Effectively is do what works. If painting is like a disaster for a mindfulness practice for you, don't do it. Try something else. Do what works. Be in. Find something different. Try something new. Only do what works for you. Okay? That's the effectiveness. So this is the what, the how. What do we do and how we do it to achieve mindfulness? Practice, which leads to wise mind. Okay? Thoughts, questions here? Jason?
I have to group of kids for the talking too many, but we do mindful photography.
Oh,
So
so
they
good.
can only use their phones to take pictures, and I just try to hold the different things that they can look at, like shapes, colors, sizes, growing, dying. You know,
Yes, we actually at the middle had a practitioner come in and do mindful photography with us, and it was so awesome.
It really works for me.
That's so cool. Thank you. Thank you. So finding what works. Like, who thinks not photography is mindfulness? I always, when I'm starting with a client who is like not experienced at all, say, tell me something you love to do, right? Tell me something that feels good for you. We start there, right? I'm not gonna be like, you really hate swimming, you should go for a swim. Like, that'll be good, right? That's not a good starting point. That comes back to the effectiveness. If they already love to listen to music, hey, have you ever tried listening to music mindfully? It's a great place to start, right? Okay. So, this is a snapshot of mindfulness, baby snapshot. Tangible things that you can teach right now. So we're going to move into emotion regulation. I could spend years teaching you guys about mindfulness, and I encourage you to continue down that road. And I am no expert on mindfulness. But now we're going to move into emotion regulation, which is probably my favorite thing to teach, just in general. I love it. Okay? So questions about mindfulness before we jump. Motion regulation. What do you guys think? Tell me. What comes to mind?
Control.
Control. Control of? Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. What else?
What goes on biologically in your body, especially if you're a very sensitive person.
Absolutely. Anybody get maybe in private practice where you take your own calls and your client, potential client calls and like, I really need to work on emotion regulation. Get those calls, anybody? It's insane. I think I need to, and I'm like, oh, somebody's told you that, right? 100% told you that, and you have no idea what you're talking about. But I hear you, and I appreciate you being willing to even call, right? But they don't know. They're just like, I'll make situations worse. This isn't really working for me, right? Complete dysregulation, right? So they think they need emotional regulation skills, but what they really need is first distress tolerance. But we're going to talk about emotional regulation first. This is like the nitty gritty. This is what I tell my clients, the hard work. And they don't like that. But I'm like, this is like the lifetime long work you gotta do. Okay? That's emotion regulation. So, first, let's think about, in young adults specifically, what are causes of emotion dysregulation? Environment, right? Grew up in a house where like it was actually encouraged to be like dysregulated. Ooh, if you're the loudest or you're the most emotional, you get the attention. Or if you were the one that falls in line and never has any emotion and don't make any waves, then you get the attention and the reward, right? Our environment dictates so much. Or mom yelled all the time. What do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna yell all the time because it works for her. It's gonna work for me, right? And then we realize, hey, maybe not, right? Environment, wiring. So we think about diagnoses here. We think about, bipolar disorder, chemical. People in our families who maybe also have mental health diagnoses. Trauma. Our brains are wired differently post-trauma. Okay? Also, the next one, trauma. That definitely affects our ability to regulate. Our brains look completely different post-trauma. Lack of skill. Nobody taught me how to regulate. I say all the time, I feel so bad for my little girl at times because I'm like, let's do tapping, let's take some deep breaths. And she's probably like, I just want to be dysregulated, right? And I say to myself sometimes when she is dysregulated, like, why do I do this? Like, she don't want to do the skills, she don't want to do these things. Rough life, look, this mom. But the truth is if I can teach her now, hopefully when she has the ability to access them, they're there, right? But most of our clients have never been taught any sort of regulation. Most of the time it's either like pull it together or X, or you're losing your video games or you're, getting punished or whatever. There's no like coaching in how to regulate. So they just don't know. And then we turn into teenagers who just don't know. And then we turn into young adults that just don't know how to manage emotion. And the crazy thing is when we're teenagers, the emotion looks very similar to our really early years where we were so dysregulated on into our young adult. We do a lot more. Moodiness definitely plays a factor. Like that shift in mood, the swing in moods, and if we don't have skills, if our mood is constantly shifting, it's going to affect our ability to regulate. Any other things that you guys think might cause dysregulation in young adults?
Got very into mood.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. You've got a small.
1,000,000%. You're like my next couple skills then.
Substances.
100%. Substances. Fine. Absolutely.
Yeah, the diet, exercise, and sleep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good. Okay. So, anybody seen this scale before? You'll see, I'm gonna go this way where it wants. SUDS thermometer. Any EMDR therapists use a SUDS thermometer? It's also used in lots of other things. This is my little SUDS thermometer. The most important thing about emotion regulation and distress tolerance skills are teaching our clients when to use them. Right skill, right time. I think about working in residential and I had to be trained in medication administration. And it was like, right man, right time, right client, blah, blah, blah. And so anytime I say right skill, right time, that's what I think of. But it's so important, you guys. Those of you who know what's working, I'll never forget, he came to my group one day and he was an intern and he checked in and he said, Mandy, I'm so mad. And I was like, what's this shit about? I was like, okay, what's going on with this? I was really trying to use my DBT skills because I encourage my interns to use them. And he said, and they didn't work. I was like, great. And I said, well, tell me about the situation. Well, I got into this argument with a family member, my brother, we get sideways sometimes, and I was so intentional about walking away and using my voice skills. And I was like, okay. I said, well, tell me where you were on your SUD scale. And he said, well, I was probably at a good 8 or 9. And I was like, okay, and you then did what? Well, I stopped. I was like, good, that's still good. Stop skill is good, please skill. Stop, take a step back, observe, proceed mindfully, distress tolerance skill. And he said, but then I just was like, okay, it's not, I need to sit down and have meditation. I was like, how'd that go? And he was like, it's a disaster. I felt worse. And I was like, okay. That is a great example of why right skill, right time is so important. So the first thing I ever do with clients, right? He accessed a skill that was fantastic, but not in that moment. It actually dug him further into what was going on. He didn't need to be present in that moment. That did not feel good. So he needed other skills. And that was when books had just started with me. It was such a great reminder, like, if we don't know when to use the skills, we can use them at the wrong time, and then we think they're ineffective. And then what are we not doing? We never use them again. We're like, ugh, that's terrible. Okay? So with emotion regulation and distress tolerance, I cannot tell you how much time I spend teaching this to all my clients. Distress tolerance skills are 6 and above. You'll hear people, especially in some of the manuals, DBT manuals, it'll be 60 and above. Or 70 and above, they like to add a 0. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's just more complicated. So 6 and above, some people say 7 and above. I always refer to 6 and above is distress tolerance land. Distress tolerance skills are a band-aid. Think about it that way. An athlete, I was thinking athlete terms. So has anybody been to a football game in their life? And saw somebody go down with a knee injury? Yeah? Okay? Right after that player went down with a knee injury, did the surgeon come on and start doing surgery immediately? Why? Why didn't they? He's got a knee injury. Because why? And he says, yeah, what if he didn't need surgery? And we start doing surgery? What if it was his hamstring and it made his knee hurt? Right? There's so much. And what we do when we are in distress is assume all those things, and then we make a decision, and then we have knee surgery on the football field immediately, right? It's not hard. So distress tolerance, think of Band-Aid. So in soccer world, where I came from, there's this thing called magic spray. It is literally a can of like cold air. And they spray it on you, and then they're like, oh, yeah, let's get it to help you. It does nothing except give you a minute, right? That's distress tolerance. That's Band-Aid. Band-Aid. Or have you seen anybody go down on the field and they're like squirting with water, and you're like, how did that help? It didn't. But it was the Band-Aid. It distracted them for just a minute. The Band-Aid. Okay? Stop the bleeding. That's distress tolerance. So 6 and above, we gotta do that. Emotion regulation skills are our problem solving zone. So this is where we can decide, hey, do we need surgery? Or do we not? Problem solve. We cannot effectively problem solve when we're up here. We think we can. So you have to have those skills here to get down here so that we can make good decisions. So think emotion regulation skills are 5 and below. And all the good deep work happens in there, okay? Up here is survival, down here's the deep work, okay? Building that life worth living, think of that. So, that's great, but most clients, anybody who applies for like, I only know them up 10, I only know them at 0. So, my favorite thing in the world, number 1, all my clients get this. Number 2, every one of them has to, with me, and with a little homework, has to fill out a blank one. Their own. What is your 0? What is your 10? They know them. They will tell you all about them. But then you ask them what's your 30, and they're like, They're clueless. They have no idea. And probably a lot of you guys may not have a clue what yours is. I didn't for a long time. If we don't know where we are on our scale, and if our clients don't know where we are on our scale, how can we know how to navigate effectively? We can't, right? So I spend a ton of time working on this with them. It is life-changing. Just this one thing, SUD scale. Building their own SUD scale. I've had clients do like my anxiety SUD scale, my fear or my anger SUD scale, my sad SUD scale, whatever. So they'll build their. But most of the time, you can have one SUD scale, and it really be profound. Like for me, something I know about myself is my stomach is like my number 1 indicator of all things. So I know at about 3, I will have my first like yucky feeling in my stomach, kind of like butterfly, nausea, a little bit going on. Well, I know at a 9, like I'm in bed, my stomach hurts so bad. I need to know that. And why? Because I can intervene at a 3. Intervention at a 9 is tough. We can do it, there's skills for that, but tough, you guys. So really working through a SUD scale with a client, having them build it, and I always say to them, this is not something you do once and you're done, because you're going to keep learning what's going on with you. Something else that happens for me as I get really like intense distress, I get quiet. I know, like, so I'm higher on the scale, like an 8, I start to get quiet, and I would say you should be concerned, right? I flare my nostrils. There's things I know, and I've had people tell me, and I'm always working on it. Okay? Questions about this?
If their 0 is like a 3, that's where they start. And they
This is what I tell them.
Butterfly.
Yes, yes, start there. It doesn't have to be R0 or what is standard. And something I say to clients, and this really blows their mind, and they argue with me about it, but I'm okay with it in the beginning. I say, what once was your 10 will no longer exist. After therapy, what once was your 10 will no longer exist. And they're like, yeah, right, because usually that's, self-harm, I'm super suicidal, whatever, and then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I don't have that anymore, and that's because it's not your 10. You don't even have that. It's gone. After lots of DBT work, your 10 will no longer exist. It's crazy. They are, especially in the beginning, they're like, I'm like, oh, I can be cool with that, but you just let me know when it happens. Right? Okay, so, yeah, what do you, like in working specifically with teenage boys, I feel like, I do a lot of like, the gray area in between, they couldn't identify. So like they know for 10, they might know for 1, but then it's like, oh, I don't know. Super common, along with any client, especially people that don't have a lot of emotional intelligence, right? Something I always say is go ask so-and-so? How, like, your parent, your best friend, how do they know when you're getting elevated? That's a great starting point. Another thing is, like, if you're in a group setting, this is powerful to discuss. Because they're like, oh my God, that happens to me too. I've never even thought about that. So this is a great, like, discussion tool to have them go work on it on their own or in the individual and then come back together and be like, share. I cannot tell you when people are like, I never thought about my stomach was related to my, and I'm like, crazy, huh? And then they can start to fill it in. But resources, people around you is a great place to start. Like, do you think I notice that I flare my nostrils when I'm angry? No, but have I had people tell me that? Yes, right? So then I know, I put it on here and I start to think, my awareness, where does this go on my scale? Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So now we know when to use, right? So emotion regulation, understanding, being more aware of, and having more control over emotions. I worked in the therapeutic preschool. I remember being like, this is sad. Literally. But have we all had that? Have we all had, I know what this emotion is? No. So there's that piece. There's being aware of and control. Why? Knowledge about emotions equals power. I say it all the time. Name it to tame it. It's like my old therapeutic preschool days. Like, if we can just name the emotion, we're already in control in a way we haven't been before. We already are ahead of the game. So just simply naming it. I get hand people emotion wheels when they start my CBT group, and they're like, they like don't even know what to do with it, right? And we're full therapists about the fill out emotion wheel and all that stuff, you know, hanging on the wall, that's great. Make sure your client is looking at it. Okay? Emotion regulation reduces vulnerability to unwanted emotions and increases emotion resiliency. When these feelings do come up, we're gonna have feelings. We don't have emotions, they're not bad. What do we do with them, and how do we stay in control? So I had somebody really special to me say to me, every emotion has the right to exist, but not to take over. And I was like, oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I've kept that with me always. Emotion regulation skills are primitive. This is the work so that we don't go to the 10 every time. That's why I always say, just stress tolerance, what? So the after crisis, I'm gonna lay on the couch, and I'm like, no, you're not. That's when you're gonna get to it. That's when the real work begins. You survive, now get up. ABC skills. So there's in DBT, we call them the ABC plays. You're gonna see some acronyms. Marshall and Pam love some acronyms, and they're kind of bad, but I'm gonna just stay with me. So the A is accumulating positives. This is a skill. So this is all about, anybody have a client that's like the negative stuff, and you're like, this happened, and this happened, and oh my God, then of course this happened to me, and why does this happen to me? So you're stacking negatives. We're guilty of it. This is the opposite. I'm stacking positives with intention. I am going out and doing things or having experiences with intention to build my positive content. That's accumulating positives. I always get this like image, like just breaking them all in. Like, let me go do this. Oh, I love to go hang out with friends. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I need this. I need this positive. I'm going to get myself a coffee. Cool. I'm going to go work out. That feels really nice for me. I'm intentionally scooping in all the goodness I can at all times. That's accumulating positives. Most of your clients are already doing some of this. Give them a name. Then tell them to be intentional about it. What accumulating positives did you do this week? Tell me. I need to know. Were you intentional about it? Right? So that's accumulate. Yep.
So what do you do, like, when you're with someone that just, like, won't do that? Or
You start taking baby steps. Like, accumulating positive might be like, I brushed my teeth today. I didn't lay in bed for 9 hours, only 8. That's a stack of positive, right? It's all about where they are, of course. And if they're not willing, then we always visit my old friend willfulness. Let's talk about the willfulness here. And what's that doing for you? How's it going? Build mastery is my favorite. My history is everything was related to control. I love control so much. This was my best friend. And it's so good for any clients who struggle with anything control related. They're like, everything else out of control so much. And then, I'm gonna have disordered eating behavior. I'm gonna self-harm. I'm gonna, all the control type things, right? Best friend skill right here can change everything. Build mastery is all about doing something intentionally, usually standard each day, with intention that you can get better at, that also you're already okay at, that makes you have some sense of accomplishment and control. So I always give the example to my group. I'm pretty decent at sports, so I can pick up kind of anything I want. I can go play pickleball, and I love it and enjoy it, and that's fun. And that's a great area for me to do build mastery, right? Because I already like it. I'm not a pro pickleballer, but I'm decent. I can go out and have fun and not get super frustrated. I can also improve. And I can do that with intention each day, right? But what I'm not gonna go do is play golf. Because there's nothing that feels good about that for me, because in my head, I'm like, I'm just playing, I can pick up whatever I want. No, not golf. Like, that's not the time, right? That's not my goal. Should I keep pushing through that golf issue? Yes. But that's not what build mastery is about. It's like, I need to feel accomplishment. I need control, okay? So, also, I gave you a big example, going out and doing. But what if it's like build mastery is I got up, or I did my homework 3 days this week, or I showed up to group, or I showed up to therapy, whatever it looks like. Finding areas that they can feel accomplished and in control is big. Okay, let's build mastery. Go ahead. Copy simple, copy night at a time. We prepare mentally for whatever we're fearful of. I had a client this week say to me, you know my addiction history, and I'm sober. I have a psychiatrist appointment coming up, and I feel really anxious about it because I need my ADHD medicine up, and I know it, but I'm gonna have it. And I'm so scared to ask. Go ahead, right? So then we planned it out. We talked about worst case scenario, best case scenario. How do we talk about it? What do you think happened to his anxiety? Because we played out every option that it could be. Right? Let's go ahead. So that's our ABC. That's our please. Okay. Any questions about ABC?
How do you help them accept, like, I have a particular person in mind, like, there's always a yeah, but, always. Like, you gotta just, like, that's a big deal, like, you went to bed at a decent time, you didn't stay up till 3 a.m., like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, trying to celebrate. Yeah, but like,
So-
it could have always,
Yes.
like, that's.
It's like that's willfulness, number one.
Yeah.
I would go back to willfulness and what it looks like. But number two, in DBT land, but is like, no. Every but we replace with and. Every single time. So if they say, yeah, but, then you say and. Yeah, and. What would change that for me? So it was, yeah, but I should have done it yesterday and I didn't. Then, yeah, and I didn't do it yesterday. And then should have is another too. So we say, and I would like to change that in the future. Right? It's that the and is like, so my clients, they don't get the opportunity to say and, but I'm like, and, like literally. And trying to teach them what that does too, because it's not just you being a jerk and like interrupting them, but knowing that that butt keeps us stuck in what was and moves us forward. It's acceptance and it can move us. You know, my daughter and her husband both go and. Thank you guys. Yeah.
So I just want to know if this is wrong, because I feel like the change has to be, because when it's wrong, I have that same issue. But, yes. The man does that, refutes everything. But it's so funny because we have a long conversation. And the way we have a long conversation is, they'll start talking and they'll say, I don't want to be bothered today, so I'm sorry, we're just the same thing. And I'll say, okay. And then I'll do something else like, oh, those are cool shoes, I like those shoes. So they'll start talking to me about the shoes, and they'll be like, well, I just didn't feel good, I didn't wake up this morning, I'm like, okay. Let's take a walk. We'll take a walk, and then I'll say, well, what's going on with why you wasn't feeling good? I didn't get a lot of sleep, but it's just something that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, so I just like that wall.
And but by the end of the conversation, it could be like 2 minutes, it doesn't make me that long.
Yeah.
He has told me everything that I need to know, and I'm just wondering if that's the wrong side of that. Because what I do is,
That's beautiful.
okay,
That is beautiful. Do not question that technique.
I'm gonna have to change this in the end because sometimes it is frustrating, but it's funny because,
Catch his butt. Don't
yeah.
get stuck in, because what you're doing is great, but you find that opportunity to be like, hey, when you hear you say butt, when you put an and in there and just see what happens, like, let them like, because clearly this person likes to play. Enter into their game and play and try it and see what you think.
I'm not gonna answer you when I see you because I just don't want to talk. I said, well, number, can we do this? Fine.
So instead of like, well, then say, okay, you don't want to talk to me, and I want to talk to you. Like I do stuff like that all the time. Use your personality, and that's what I'm hearing you're doing great work with. Use you. You're the greatest tool to the therapy room. Use it. Yeah. No, you're doing great. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I'll take it in mind, and regardless, she does come ahead about everything.
Like anxiously go ahead.
And it's little things, really great for TCAS. So she has gone through every scenario, but then she has new ones. Yesterday was, well, what we do is kind of crossing.
Yeah. Right.
And then I thought about alligator way.
So like using this overly, that's where I would come back
for
to.
these things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the diagnosis? But no, truly, I think about matching that with where are they on the distress scale, right? Because can you cope ahead effectively if you're at an 8, 7? No, right? So then we have to do another skill. We don't even cope ahead in that moment. We go into these other skills, okay? So I would go, what if she says, oh, what if clown pops into the TCAPS, and you say, hey, I'm just curious, where is your anxiety level right now? Where are you on your scale? Because that sounds like you're a little high on your scale. I want to understand. And then we don't go ahead. We go into another skill that is for distress. That's what I'm talking about. Right skill, right time. Because you give a narcissist some of these skills, y'all. It's not good, right? So right skill, right time, right people. Okay? Play skills. Start off with this, you guys both. Taking care of your body to take care of your mind. So, number one, a terrible acronym. And some people have tried to reinvent the wheel and make it better. But this is, if we take care of these things, then we limit our vulnerability to emotion mind. I can't tell you how many times I've had in my life where I'm like, I'm so angry. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been eating all day. No wonder I'm not really angry, I'm just right? So thinking through these with your clients and knowing that these are the foundational skills. If these things are not good, we got a problem, right? And all of our clients that don't have at least, and lots of mine in private practice, come in, can't sleep, not sleeping at all. I'm like, first thing we're targeting, we're figuring this out. I don't care what it takes. We're getting into that sleep issue, right? So treat physical illness. I always say to my clients, would you rather me come and lead group if I have the flu or if I don't? They say, no, thank you. And I'm like, well, I don't want you to get sick. Yeah, that's a good point. How do you think I'm going to act if I have the flu and I'm leading your group? It's going to be different. You're getting a different Mandy, right? Treat physical illness. If we're sick, if we have diabetes and it's out of control, if our clients are struggling with physical pain, figuring out the root of this. Some of these things we will not be able to solve. Can we refer them to someone to help? Can we at least practice radical acceptance of this thing that we have that we cannot change? Make sense? Yeah.
I think sometimes too, even if it's mental health, like we talk about therapy and meds, and sometimes therapy can be just by itself.
Yes.
And sometimes therapy has to be married with meds.
Absolutely.
Sometimes meds have to come first for you to be able to.
Yeah, 100%. Because a ton of stuff doesn't sink in if we're so used to. Yep, good. So treat physical illness, balanced eating. Let's be clear, this is not me going on a diet. This means, am I doing for my body what is healthy, what feels right, right? I can drink the heck out of caffeine. Makes sense, right? My clients who are anxious, they can't even look at caffeine, right? So if they come in with a Red Bull, we've got a problem. Right? Doing what works for you, not for anybody else. This does not mean going on a diet. This doesn't mean like, look up online, mental health diet. No. What is effective for you? When I eat 14 Oreos, I don't feel great. Okay? Then I'm probably gonna cut back on my Oreo intake. Right? Just being mindful. Well, when I eat a lot of protein, I feel so much better. How can we build in protein? This is not a diet. Okay? Avoid mood-altering substances. This goes from caffeine to nicotine to weed and every delta under the sun to cough medicine to whatever you want to talk. Anything that alters mood, how's that affect us? And I know if y'all are like me, everybody, that weed really does help you. Okay, what's it helping, and how is it when you're not using weed, and then how fast are you using weed again? Like, so working with them through that space of like, substances are my best friend, to like, how would you like to feel decent without needing to smoke weed all day? Like, would that be nice for you? Yeah, save me some money. Like, if that's where they start, great. Cool. And I talk a lot about caffeine, a lot, because like I said, I could sit up here and drink 4 Red Bulls and feel nothing. A client can look at a can of Red Bull and be panic attack immediately. And we have to know that about ourselves. Balanced sleep. There's sleep hygiene protocol in DBT manual, and we definitely work on that. But truly, like, am I getting enough sleep? What's it look like? Is it restful sleep? Digging into that. All of this keeps us from going into emotional lines. Immediately, if I had good quality sleep, I'm going to handle the situation very differently than if I did not. Exercise. DBT standard is 30 minutes a day. I never push that, and I call it movement. Any movement of your body, if that is literally standing up from your desk at work and walking to the break room, That's better than not, right? So movement with intention every day. Standard is 30. Thoughts, questions about these 3 skills. If we take care of our body, we're already in a better situation. Okay? This is preventative, remember? Questions on that? I'm gonna keep it rolling. Distress tolerance. Distress tolerance are our band-aid, our crisis survival, right? Our skills that we need to keep from making everything worse. 6 and above. The ability to get through crisis without making it worse, both tolerating and accepting distress. Anybody there have clients that are when it comes to distress? No, I can't do this. So this is acceptance, not liking it, but accepting that it is. Like, I had this thing happen. I didn't like it, but it happened. That old saying, it is what it is really annoying. Right? It is what it is, and I can handle it. I can keep from making it worse. Distress tolerance helps tolerate painful events, urges, and emotions when you cannot make things better right away. We always want to solve the problem right here, right now, but we can't always do it right here, right now. Helps clients get to a more manageable emotional place. I always say, they'll say, well, I did whatever skill, I did the tip skill, and I only came down to like a 6. And I'm like, how is that compared to that thing you were at? And what did you do when you got to the 6? Well, I chilled. Well, that's the problem, right? Do it again and again. And then when you're below at 6, then we're doing something for emotion regulation, right? It's not like mental health work is not chilling. No, sitting on the couch. Doing that, that's a skill. Okay. Help, this is powerful. Help clients move out of long-term suffering into tolerating temporary pain. If I gave you the option, you want some pain or you want some suffering, which one are you going to take? Why? Temporary, short-term. Nobody wants long-term suffering. If we buck up to distress and we will not even accept that it existed or happened, we will suffer. Every time. So, skills for distress tolerance. This is like the most basic DBT skill that you can ever have, and it is so good with teens or young adults. What distract skill can I use when I'm distressed? And they should have about 40, right? They should have tons in each category. So, another acronym, accepts. Distract with wise mind accepts. So, activities. We can distract with activities. This could be call a friend, listen to music, watch a movie, go outside, play in the dirt, clean the house, a million things. Great starting point is what feels good for you, clients. Where can we start? Can you do that with attention to distract yourself? Contributing. I had a client, still like warms my heart. Every day, she was 11. Every single day, she came into group and she had doodled at night a note card, literally just a basic note card, with another client in the group's name on it and like some like little quote or nice saying. Did one each day. What do you think happened? Everybody in my group was dying to get their note card. And this girl, my client, had a rough home life. And she was using it as a distraction. She was like, I can stay in the zone and doodle a note card. This was her contributing. I make somebody else feel good by giving them this card that took me effort, but I'm distracting while I'm doing it. Everybody always wants to go to volunteer at the homeless shelter. I'm like, yes, do that if you want it. That takes a lot of effort, and if you're in crisis, can you drive right to there and do it? Maybe, maybe not. That would be a great like accumulating post-it or build mastery. That's like prep work. going to work at the shelter. You can clean out your clothes, donate them. You can help your little brother with homework. All kinds of options here for contributing. Comparisons. This one's scary. Everybody's always like, no, comparing. So the way I like to teach clients to use comparisons is compare how you're coping now compared to how you were before. Oh my gosh, you're in treatment. You got yourself home. Think about that. Use it to distract. There's some funny ones when it comes to comparisons, like watching reality TV and you be like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. No, that sounds awful. It is one that is used in DBT. Emotions. Distraction with emotions. What can I do to shift my emotion? How can I distract with other emotions? That's why I put Step Brothers up here, y'all. I cannot watch Step Brothers without laughing my tail off. I just can't. It's like not possible. I know that. So if I am really down in the dumps, what can I do to distract myself? Does it make the problem go away? How much better do I feel in that time where I'm full into Step Brothers? I mean, look at it. So good. Music. I always, with especially our teens, but our adults too, I'm like, when you're using music to make you feel better, because all of them say they are, like, who are you listening to? You listening to Lana Del Rey and Lil Peep? Oh, now you're really, really sad anymore. Seriously, fantastic. Right? That's what we're going for. No. Singing. So I encourage all of my clients to build playlists that say, my sad playlist. That does not equal sad music, so I'll just be super depressed. That equals music that will fill. You're like, yes. Feel nice when I am needing shifting. And there's a time and place for a sad song, y'all. But it is not when we're in 6 and above. Okay? Got it? Same with TV or movies. Like, let's not watch the Notebook. Let's just don't. Okay? Pushing away. This is taking a break, stepping out of the situation. In EMDR, we use the container idea of like putting that negative thing in a container, locking it up, keeping it safe mentally. It's a great way to push away. Also, we can have our clients like write it on paper, shred it, whatever. Get creative with how we are going to separate from the thing that is causing us distress. Okay? Thoughts. Engaging the other side of the brain. Sudoku. Colors, counting the tiles or counting the window panes, counting how many chairs are in here. How can I activate my not emotional brain, my rational brain, my reasonable brain? There's lots of different ways we can go with that. I'm trying to do it fast. Sensations. I always think for me, the ultimate distress one is petting my dog's ears. So weird, but yes, blanket, change it into empty clothes, soft socks, hot shower, warm, cozy, cold shower, bath, warm, stepping outside, all kinds of options here, but all with the purpose of distraction from the distress, okay? Self-soothe, one of my favorites. So every one of my clients is required to do this. They built a self-soothe kit. This should be accessible. Mine's in my car right now. I'm going to run it in for you guys. Everybody must have one thing from each sense of the 5 senses in a kit that's accessible at all times. So mine have really gotten big over the years, but I totally would like them where we could like keep them in our car, put them in our bag or our backpack or whatever. So this is simply using the 5 senses to relax our body. So some things here for vision, I always talk about this beautiful little scrolly like picture thing. It makes me happy when I look at it, I love it. If I have somebody who's like on my bad list and I want to see them, there's a button for that, so it won't pop up on here. Put them in the hide. I don't want to see them, right? Pictures, going outside, observing nature, like, so in your self-soothe kit, you would want to have something to remind you of what the thing is you want to do. when you're distressed, because the idea is I can't think, I can't make good choices, I have to have a reminder. So for me, if it's like, what's helpful for me is to go outside and like observe nature, then I should have a leaf in there where I need to have a picture of water. Does that make sense? So we've got vision, hearing. Most people love music, honestly, so I'll say put your backup AirPods in there. Your junky AirPods that you got at the gas station. Throw them. Remind yourself music, because you don't leave your phone in here. Smell, candle, essential oils, whatever feels good for you, like that blankie from when you were little, whatever works for your client. Help them build this, help them get creative. Taste, something really comforting. I keep a gluten-free Easy Mac deal in my bag because it always makes me feel better. Mac and cheese does, I don't know, it just is. Also, I always keep, I drink these loaded tea things that are probably not good for me, but I like them. It's a comfort, I keep them in there. A candy that you love. Whatever. Touch. Something that feels nice. If I have a blanket in mine, if I rock in a blanket, I'm good. Soothing your body. Ice. You can't keep it in there, but you can do a picture. You can use a breakable ice pack, put it in your thing. Guiding your clients to really think through this. Okay? Tip skill, my favorite skill of all the skills in CBT. This is the one skill that will work even when you're at a 10. Most skills will not work when you're at a 10. That's what we call a skills breakdown point in DBT land. Tip skill is all about doing the opposite of what's happening in our body. So when we are in crisis, what happens? What our sympathetic nervous system is like, right? So then what happens? Heart rate comes up, blood pressure comes up, breath rate comes up, everything's like, right? So these 4 things activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Please do yourself a favor. I can even maybe send it. There's a video on tipping the temperature that like blew my mind. If I had time, I would have shown it to you guys. It's an 11-minute video, and it's a guy literally taking his pulse right before putting his face in a cold bowl of water for 30 seconds. His heart rate dropped down 17 beats per minute, and he wasn't even in distress after 30 seconds. What do you think that can do to a client who's having a panic attack, who is at a 10, who is suicidal, about to do something, right? It's mind-blowing. So it's all about tipping the temperatures, our T, cold, 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 on this right here, and ideally up in the nostrils. So you can use a breakable ice pack, because clients are like, oh, I don't have a bowl of cold water. I mean, I'll think of every reason in set not to do this, help them problem solve. You can take a cold paper towel, like run to the bathroom, cold paper towel, put it up inside your nostrils, which is weird, but that's closest access to the nerve endings. Hold your breath for 30 seconds. It will work. Cold bowl of water is ideal. Cold shower. I had one client that was like obsessed with eating a popsicle instead. It helped. It didn't have the same side effect. So cold is powerful, but that holding breath too is big. Okay.
I found this, because my daughter has panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
get the bathroom, get the wash off. It works. Like,
It's instant. Yes.
But they don't think of that.
No, that's why I was like, you cannot have a barrier. That's what I always say. I have a client right now. He was like, but I won't go to the kitchen and get the bowl and the ice. And I'm like, fantastic. Where does it normally happen? And she says, actually, when I'm sitting on my couch, where I will not get myself up. And so what we did was we got the $2 breakable ice packs at Walmart. They're there, very funny, just so you know. They're on her side table now.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what she's using?
Right.
The ice pack. It has to be accessible. Has to. Okay. I can't like speak to how important that skill is. intense exercise. So this is not like go for a workout. This is matching what's happening in your body. Think about it that way. Anybody used to do the HIIT workouts? It's like high intensity, like woo, real fast. This HIIT workout it. Like teach your client if you do jumping jacks, if you do burpees, even though they don't want to do it. This is not about liking it. This is crisis mode. Remind them, do you want to be out or in with this? Pace breathing. Out breath is longer. That's all they need to remember. Have them download an app. There's Insight Timer's free. There's pace breathing on there. Have them save a version of breathing from YouTube on their, making an app. You can look at how to do that if you didn't know. You can make like one YouTube video an app on their phone, or an icon, I guess it's not technically an app. Have them prepare and practice this when they're not in crisis, because they will not do it if they're in crisis if they have practice without. Paired muscle relaxation. Simply tensing and relaxing. There's guided ones. If this is effective for them, I would say have them have a recorded one on their phone. It has to be accessible because they're not going to walk themselves through, especially in the beginning, a paired muscle relaxation. Okay? Remembering on these, the goal is always conservative hips. Always activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay? Questions on that one? I'm reading through it fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the exercise, how long?
So,
Which I'm asking for the reason the rate is like actually it's very angry. For example, intensive exercise, if it's on meta-analysis or things, it's like it's not helping them. So
yeah, so standard in DBT is they say 20 minutes, but obviously you're not going to do a HIIT workout for 20 minutes. So the idea is simply matching kind of the heart rate that you were, which we're not like trying to measure and do. It's just getting really elevated really fast and then dropping. So the faster you can get up and down, better, because our bodies are designed post-workout to activate the parasympathetic. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to trick it. And same with the temperature, you're activating what's called the dive reflex. So your body thinks you're drowning. It's the truth. And it's like, preserve. So this, it goes into preserve. I just killed it in a workout, preserve. That's what you're doing. So it's not necessarily a length, it's an intensity level. And they need to practice. They gotta figure it out, what works for them. Like I know if I do burpees, like, we're gonna be good. I'm gonna get up there, I'm gonna get down, right? Interpersonal effectiveness, the last but not least, we've all had clients who do not have a relationship that is positive and can't keep a relationship that's positive. When we get excited, they're like, I have a new friend, and then 2 days later, they're like, I hate that person, and you're like, God, right? We all have those clients, especially our BPD clients, and you don't know what to do with them because they're wrecking every single relationship they've got. These are your best friends, okay? Skills that help clients get needs met, teach clients how to respectfully ask for what they want and need, teach them how to say no to things they don't want, have their opinion taken seriously, and build respect. Dear man, so fun, acronym. This is our skill, how to have our needs met. Asking for what you want without manipulation. That's it. Here's your outline. Practice with your client. Describe, express, assert, reinforce, mindful, appear confident, negotiate. If they use this and they use it as a script at first, they'll be doing it without knowing it, before you know it, and then so will people around them. It's crazy. I worked in case management before any of this, and I had this client that would manipulate me every single day with her language, and it made me resentful, and I didn't know what I was saying. I was like case manager, and I was like, and then I realized, oh, this is your responsibility to like help her through this. Game changer, you guys, this skill right here. Give skill, all about validation, keeping relationships. You're gonna get these slides too, don't hang up. So all about maintaining and making new relationships. If we can teach our clients to validate like what we went to school to learn to do, because it's not easy, everybody screws up. We think we're validating, we're actually invalidating. Lives will be changed. They will have relationships that they never thought they could have. You will be shocked that they're keeping relationships. Fast skill. Boundary setting. I can't tell you how many clients are like, I cannot say no to anything. And then I feel really crappy about myself because I can't say no. Fast skill is their best friend. Being fair to themselves and the other person. No apologies, that means not apologizing for having boundaries. So I'm so sorry, but I can't. Or I'm so sorry, but no, I just am not coming. I'm not sorry. Doesn't mean we never have to apologize if we're wrong. Let's be clear about that. Stick to values, knowing our values, and then sticking to them at all costs. And being truthful. This is teaching our clients they don't have to make an excuse to have a boundary. Like, you can just not want to go to the birthday party or the party. You don't have to give an excuse. Oh, my grandma needs me to take her to the doctor. No, you just don't want to go. And you can effectively say that by saying, hey, sorry, I'm not going to make it to your party. Because you are sorry, you'd like to go to the party, but not too much, right? Or, hey, can't make it, thanks for asking. That's it. Okay. Questions on that one? Sorry, Sarah. Sorry, I just feel that. And I'll stick around for questions or anything. I know people like to roll.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Do have an important announcement that is how you get credit for this.
Oh, my God.
All of you registered on the LPCA website to attend this. Go back to that website, check into your account. Under your account, there will be a tag called subscriptions. Under subscriptions will be the title of this course. And that's where you will go to fill out an application. And then you can just print out or download your certificate for attending. Now, this may not be ready in the next 10 minutes. Sometimes I've got to email in the sign-in sheets to confirm that you were here, and then they will open that up, and you'll be able to do that. So let me give it a few days. And if after that you can't get in or you're confused about it, just send me an email and I'll walk you through it. But it's really easy. Just go back to where you were registered. So you get on your subscription. Any other questions about that process? While you're on that website, go ahead and register for the religious trauma training here, May 10th. Same time, Friday morning, 9 to 12. Hey, thanks again.
Yeah,